This Mandela Day, the South African Depression and Anxiety Group, SADAG, is asking you to support mental health and support something meaningful that will last longer than just 67 minutes. SADAG provides crucial mental health support to over 600 South Africans on a daily basis. But SADAG is giving a way to help this Mandela Day by asking for small donations in the form of a one-arm push-up challenge. For more, we are joined via Skype by Casey Chambers, who is from SADAG. Casey, a very good morning and thanks for making the time this morning.
Morning, thank you for having me.
Please explain what the one-arm push-up challenge is.
Well, it's a really exciting project. It's really something nice and different that SADAG is getting involved in. And
it's easy because everyone can get involved. What we're looking at this year is that Magnum Boots South Africa is looking to support SADAG and PTSD for our frontline staff, the paramedics, the firefighters, the people that are on the front line like nurses and doctors that help us every single day, but also suffer from trauma and PTSD. This year, if someone can do, or anyone, you, your friends, your colleagues, can do a one-arm push-up, video it, share it on social media with a special hashtag Magnum for PTSD. For every one video that people upload, the company will donate 50 Rand to SADAG, which is incredibly helpful for our suicide helpline, which gets no funding, and we rely on private donations. We get over 600 calls a day from people who are helpless and hopeless, so our telecom bill is incredibly high. Already, because of this great campaign for Mandela Day and July being Mental Health Awareness Month, we've already raised over 60,000 Rand, which is going to go so far to saving people's lives.
We starting off our conversation with a fun activity, but mental health mental illness is not that much fun, is it?
It isn't, and I think if you speak to people who live with a mental health issue or have a loved one with a mental health issue, it can be very scary, very isolating and alone. When we look at the stats in South Africa, 1 in 3 South Africans will or do have a mental health issue at some point in their lifetime. So it affects a lot of South Africans, especially when we're exposed to so much trauma, violence, abuse, breakups of families, relationship issues, unemployment, financial issues. There's so many reasons that could cause someone to feel depressed or down or stressed. And a lot of people are too scared to get help until it's too late. We also deal with the stigma that people don't see mental health as a real illness. Mental health is a real physical illness, just like hypertension or cancer or diabetes. It needs real treatment. And I think the serious consequence by not taking depression seriously or mental health seriously is that it can lead to suicide. And unfortunately, in the news and lately, we've been seeing a lot of people, famous people, celebrities, that have actually suffered from depression and taken their own lives. And for us, we need to create awareness from everyone in every community to let them know that mental health is real and that there is treatment, there is help available.
But just from the research that you conduct on a regular basis, what is making life so unbearable in this era?
I think a lot of it has to do also with what we're dealing with on a daily basis. It's tough. In South Africa, there's high pressure, unemployment, financial issues, all the stress and pressure. There's an increase in family breakup. More divorces and separations are happening. Domestic violence, abuse, sexual abuse, alcohol and substance abuse, and all of these factors actually come and work together to contribute to someone's mental well-being. And it makes it incredibly difficult because we don't cope. We're not taught how to cope with it. We're not taught how to talk about mental health. Women, we know from research, are more likely to come forward and talk about depression or get help for depression. But men, are brought up that cowboys don't cry. So they're suffering in silence, and yet men are more likely to commit suicide than women. So it's a really important topic that affects across all age groups. It doesn't discriminate against age, gender, race. the youngest suicide in South Africa has been 6 years old. So for us, it's so important to let families, parents, communities, everyone know that mental health is a real issue and everyone should be talking about it.
So a day such as International Nelson Mandela Day is supposed to make citizens across the world all warm and fuzzy. But this is not necessarily the case with people who are going through mental health challenges, is it?
Definitely. And, often associated with such a great day like Mandela Day, it's easy to go to feeding schemes or animal shelters, and it's amazing to see people go out. No one really thinks of volunteering or assisting with mental health. The stigma, as I mentioned earlier, prevents people from wanting to get involved. It also prevents people who are living with mental health issues to come forward. So for us, it's really great that on such an important day like Mandela Day, we can even use this as a platform to talk about mental health, which affects so many people across every kind of sector, across the country, and start the conversation today. You never know, by talking about this could really help someone to reach out, to get help, and save a life.
Casey, thank you so much for making the time to talk to us this morning. That conversation with Casey Chambers from SADAG, that conversation is linked to our question of the day, where we're asking how can Mandela Day be used to highlight the growing problem of mental health challenges?
Yeah, often the focus, and rightly so, I guess, is education, literacy, food, nutrition, shelter, sanitation.
Poverty reduction.
All important issues, but sometimes mental health takes a back seat, and it's important to bring it to the fore and talk
because
about it.
Because we need to be a healthy nation.
Definitely. Yeah. Body, mind and soul. Let's take a look at some of your tweets. All right. IH Nazo says, we cannot wait for just a day to highlight our growing challenges. We are a working system that cares for its people. We need a continuous support of people who were made poor by segregation, that deprived everything. Psychologically, we are still oppressed.
Christine Ngomalo saying, by calling on all professionals in the medical fraternity to destigmatize mental illness. I wonder if this is the same Christine Ngomalo who was part of the legal team in the Life Esidimeni process, who came in as part of the NGOs. I think it is her.
Okay, all right. Yeah,
Thank you so much for your contribution, Christine.
All right, we got one more tweet, so let's put it up. All right, Tao says, there are some people in history whose presence and passion is larger than life itself and leaves a legacy that shines long after they are gone. Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was one such man. Indeed, he was.
Important conversation. That's our focus on the show today, an emphasis on mental health.
I guess it's an opportunity to reflect on Nelson Mandela's legacy and what he stood for, and hop onto this movement for good, one would say.
And we talk a lot about Mandela codes, and one of the codes, and I will not quote it verbatim, but was about encouraging people to move away from fear and live in a world of hope. And I suppose this flows nicely into the conversation we're having today.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to break down what happened at the state capture inquiry yesterday with regards to, look, there's a break today while they sort out the issues. Pierre de Vos is up next, and he's going to help us, unpack this next.
Absolutely. Let's take a break.